Okay, today we'll be learning about the triangle theorems. There's three major ones that we need to know in sixth grade. The first one is that all the angles of a triangle, the interior angles, when you add them up, they have to equal to 180. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Here's some examples. We have 45, 90, and then x. So all the three angles together, when you add them up, have to equal 180. So I would first add these two, 90 and 45, so I can see how much we have up to now, and that would be 135. So together these two equal 135. So to find x, I know that all three have to equal 180, so I would go 180. All the angles of a triangle, the interior angles, have to equal 180, so I'm going to subtract the ones that we know. This is a 0, by the way. It's a 0. So this becomes 10. I'm going to regroup. 10 minus 5 would be 5. 7 minus 3 would be 4. So now I know that x has to equal 45. It can't go over or under 180. It has to be exactly 180. Now to check, you can add them all three together and they better equal 180. So if I will get my calculator, 45 plus the 45 that we found right now, plus the other 90, and there it is, exactly 180. Okay? Now equilateral means that all the three sides are equal, and that means that all the angles are equal. So in this case, I know that all three angles have to be equal. So this is a pretty easy one because there's only one equilateral triangle. So if I know that there's 180 is the total, and I want all angles to equal the same thing, I can divide by 3 because I want them all equally. Equilateral means that all the sides are equal and all the angles are equal. So this side, and this side is equal to each other, and then this angle and this angle and this angle are equal to each other. Okay, so that means I can divide 180 divided by 3. That will give me 60. Now this is one that we should just memorize. If I would ever give you an equilateral triangle, you should already quickly know that this has to be 60 degrees. I forgot the degree symbol here. 60 degrees and 60 degrees. Because 60 times 3 would be 180, or 60 plus 60 plus 60 would be 180. All triangles have to equal 180. The interior angles, the angles that are inside, these angles right here, they have to equal 180. These are the pretty easy ones, okay? Because they gave you two angles, so you just add and then subtract from 180. And this one is easy because it's an equilateral triangle. Now, sometimes they want to trick you like this guy, and you're thinking, well, they only gave me one angle. But we learned that when we form a perfect L right here, that would be a right angle. So we actually have the other angle here. It wasn't given to you, but we should know that if two sides are perpendicular to each other, that would be equal 90 degrees. So I can add those two. and add them. And that gives me 118 degrees. Now to find x, I would subtract from 180. So we subtract the 118 from 180 so we can find the third angle. So it was missing two angles, right? But because this is perpendicular to each other, you know it's a right angle, so it's 90 degrees. So I was able to quickly get that one. And once we have two, we add them and then subtract from 180. So this guy becomes 10. This guy becomes 7. 10 minus 8 will be 2. 7 minus 1 will be 6. So this angle x has to be 62 degrees. Again, you can always get the calculator. I'm at the camera. The calculator. And we can check 62 plus 28 plus 90. And there's your perfect 180. So sometimes they'll give you one like this, that they want the missing angle, which is x. But they also have another missing angle over here, but you should know that that's 90. Okay, so the equilateral is 60, 60, 60. This one was a piece of cake because they gave you 2. This one they gave you 1, but really they gave you 2. Okay, now let's talk about the isosceles. The isosceles, two sides are equal. Now, when two sides are equal, then these two angles are equal also. When two sides are equal, then these two angles are equal. So these two sides make the base angles equal. Okay? So let's start with this guy. So this one, they only gave me 1. So I'm going to go 180 minus 30. Because they just give me 1, I can't do much. That would be 150. Now, that means that these two together have to equal 150. Now, since it's an isosceles, that means that their angles should be equal. So that means that I can divide by 2 this time. The way we divided by 3 over here with equilateral, we can divide by 2 because isosceles, two angles are equal. So I can go divide it by 2, and that would give me 75. Finish it off. Yep, 75. So now I know that x has to be 75 degrees. This has to be also 75 degrees. And they have to be equal because if these two sides are equal, then these two angles, this one and this one over here, have to be the same. And again, you can check by adding all three. 75 plus 75 is an isosceles plus the 30, that would be 180. Okay, now in this one, they gave us the apex angle, the top angle. So that's why I subtracted what I know, and then I split the difference. I split into 2 because there's two angles that are equal. Now check this one out. This one, they want us to find V, but this time they gave me a base angle. So like I said, if these two sides are equal, so really they gave you two angles. Why? Because if this is 47, this has to be 47 because they're isosceles. So now I can go 47 this time times 2 or plus 2 or plus 47, I'm sorry, because they're isosceles. That'll be 94. So together they equal 94. So now I can go 180 minus 94. This is a 0, guys. So it will become a 10. This will become a 17 because I'm not going to go 2. And then this becomes a 0. That will be a 6. And 17 minus 9 will be an 8. So angle V should be 86 degrees. And again, a good thing to do is to add them. Right now I'm using my calculator. So 86 plus 47 plus 47 and exactly 180. Okay. So all angles, when you add them up, have to equal 180. Where you have to be careful is when we're working with isosceles. Sometimes they'll give you one angle, the top one, which is called the apex angle. You'll remove the apex angle and then split into two because the other two angles have to be equal. But sometimes they'll give you the base angle. So if they give you the base angle, plus you double it. Because if this is 47, he has to be 47. Once we have two, we do what we've been doing in the other examples. We add, or in this case times 2 because it's the same thing, or we can add 47 plus 47, you'll get 94, and then subtract from 180. Here we subtracted from 180 quickly because we have to then split the difference into the two angles that we're missing. Now the star is going to try to trick you because they're going to give you like decimals, okay? But same thing. I'm going to add these two together and then subtract from 180, okay? I want you to try this one by yourself and see how it goes. Now, here we have the notes. The sum of the measure of all angles in a triangle is always 180. So no matter what the triangle is, those three angles have to equal 180. Okay? Now here's a little review quickly. The right triangle has to have 190. The equilateral, all the sides and angles will be equal, so it will be 60, 60, 60. The isosceles, two angles will be equal. The base angles will be the ones that are equal. Okay? And I want you to try these. So you'll try them first, and then the next slide will give you the answers in case you're confused. Then for homework will be this guy. Be careful, that's 31.5, 123 holes. Here they give you the angles. And here they just give you one. They're trying to find, okay, together this better equal how much. So this is called the sum of all angles of a triangle should equal 180. The next one is the inequality theorem. This one says that when you add two lengths of any two sides of a triangle, it must be greater than the third. So let me go over what that means. So here's what it means. If I add these two together, it better be greater than the third. So 7 plus 3 is 10, that's greater than 2. That's good. 7 plus 2 is 9, that's greater than 3. But when we add 3 and 2 together, it's 5. That will not be greater than 7, so that's why this is not possible. This will never form a triangle. Why? It's too short. If you try to connect them, like try to rotate it this way, it will never form it. So what I tell kids is to always get the two smallest. So we have 3 plus 2. And if the two smallest is not greater than the third, the longest one, then it's not possible. So 3 plus 2 would be 5. That's not greater than 7. And that's why this is not a triangle. Okay. And they all work like this guy. 4 plus 5. Get the smallest one's always 4 plus 5. And that better be greater than the third one, which is 6. 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 is greater than 6. That means that if I would rotate, they will connect here and form a triangle. Here's another one. Can you make a triangle with these? Let's get the two that are the smallest, and those two better be greater than the third, which is 12. 4 plus 5 is 9, and that's not greater than 12, so this is not a triangle. This will not form a triangle either. And this one will. And the last one, they're trying to figure out, okay, what's possible. Okay, this is an algebra one. Well, I know that 4 plus 5 better be greater than x. Well, 4 plus 5 is 9. So that means that 9 has to be greater than x. So one possibility that x can be is 8. X can be 7. X can be 6. X can be 5. X can be 4. Now once you get below these two sides, be careful, because now that the smallest become somebody else. Okay? So like for example, 4 plus 4, if this is 4, that's 4 plus 4 is 8, that's greater than 5, so that's why it works. If this is 5, 5 plus 5 is 10, that's greater than 4. Now 3. That means you would get the 3 with a 4, and 3 plus 4 is 7, that's greater than 5. So that one checks off. So far 8 works, 7 works, 6 works, 5 works, 4 works, 3 works. Now we're going to check 2. Well, if 2 is the smallest, so I'm going to get 4 and 2, because those will be the new smallest. What's 4 plus 2? 6. That's greater than 5, so 2 works. And now let's check 1, the last one. 1. Well, if I put 1 here, what's 1 plus 4? 5. 5 is equal to 5, so that would not form a triangle, so 1 will not work. So what's the answer? Well, x has to be greater than or equal to 2. But x has to be less than 9. So how would I put this together? Well, we know that 1 cannot happen, so we cannot, so x has to be, x has to be greater than 1, so 1 has to be less than x. 1 has to be less than x to make it 2. But he better be greater than who? Let me delete all this because I don't want to confuse you. Then you get the point. Let me rewrite this. So we know that x, let me get the pen again. X has to be less than 9. Why? Because 4 and 5. But x better be greater than 1, which would be 2. 1 is less than x, so this has to be 2. And then x has to be less than 9, so it has to be 8, 7, 6, 5. So the ones that are between would be these. Okay? You could also put it like this. 9 has to be greater than x, but x better be greater than 1. I think this one you understand better. If x is greater than 1, he has to be 2, which is that one. It could be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. X is greater than 1, but he has to be less than 9, so 9 has to be greater than x. Anyway, that's a tricky one. So that's the way the inequality theory works. Basically, I recommend you add the two smallest, and they better be greater than the third. Again, here's some. You go and check which ones, if it's going to be form a triangle, yes or no. The answers are here in case you want to know how we solved it, and then you're going to try these for homework by yourself. Okay? The last theorem. The last theorem is trying to teach this idea. Let me zoom here. He's trying to tell you that the largest angle is opposite to the largest side. The smallest angle is opposite to the smallest side, or vice versa, smallest side is opposite to the smallest angle. The middle size angle is opposite to the middle size side. Let me show you what I mean. If you notice, 83 is the largest angle. So key, let me get a pen instead. Let's make it thick and let's change the color so you can see it better. Let me do red. 83 is opposite to this guy, which is the longest side. He's 28.9, that's longer than the other two. Now the smallest, let me change the smallest to another color. Let's get blue. The smallest angle is 44, which is right here. And if we send across the opposite, that will be 20.2. So the smallest angle is opposite to the smallest side, or vice versa. And then the medium size, I guess brown. The medium size angle is 53, so he's opposite to the medium size side. It also works the other way. We can go from the smallest side. The smallest size is 20.2. So who's in the opposite? The smallest angle. Smallest with smallest, they're across each other. Biggest with biggest. The biggest side is with the biggest angle. And the medium is with the medium. Okay? That's called the angle side relationship theorem. Later on, I'm going to show you with the angle legs what I mean. Understand better, but how would they ask you in the start? Okay, that's the main thing. So they might tell you, put the following angles in order from least to greatest. Well, the only way to measure an angle is with a protractor. Okay? Which we don't have that tool in the 6th grade STAR test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly say, okay, the opposite. So they want least to greatest, so I'm going to quickly go for the least, which is 20. And I'm going to quickly go opposite, which is letter what? Q. So angle, this is a symbol for angle. Angle Q would be the least, comma. Now I'm going to go look for the medium, because the medium is 48. And I go across, opposite, who's there? Angle P. So angle P would be the next least. Now we don't know the measurement of those angles, but we know that we can put them in order based on the sides. The smallest is opposite to the smallest, the medium is opposite to the medium, and here's the largest, 52. So who's in the opposite? C. So the largest would be angle C, and that's without measuring. This symbol again means angle C, angle P, and angle Q. So they might tell you put the angles in order from least to greatest, or they could have gone from greatest to least, doesn't matter. So I do not know the measurement of the angles because I cannot measure it unless I have a protractor. So I'm going to use my angle side relationship theorem to figure out who's the smallest, who's the next smallest, and who's the largest. Sometimes they'll give you the angles this time, you see. Now they give me the angles, and they tell you put the sides, which is side A, side B, and side C, from greatest to least. I'm going to go the other way now. Okay, we'll go look for the greatest angle is this one, and who's on the opposite side? Angle C, side C. So you would say C. You don't put the symbol of angle because these are the sides now. Comma. Who's the next greatest angle? Because 40 degrees is the next greatest angle. And who's opposite to that one? Just shoot it across. It's who? A. That would be the medium size angle with a medium size side. And then we have the smallest angle. Who's opposite to the smallest angle? B. And that's how you would figure it out. Okay. Let's do the last one. Again, I gave you sides. So if they want the least, well, I want to circle the side. This is 10. So who will be the least? Angle B. Who's the medium? 14. Circle it and shoot it across. Angle C will be the medium size. And the largest angle should be angle A. The largest is across the largest. The medium is across the medium. I'm sorry, this is the medium. And the smallest across the smallest. So here's the little note there. You can try some of these by yourself. Okay. So they might tell you, okay, here are the angles, and they give you 3 lengths. You need to figure out where would you put the 8, where would you put the 14, where would you put the 16. Okay. And then here's another one. They're saying that this is equilateral. Is that possible? Yes or no? And then here we got all the angles inside, so they want to know who would be the longest side in this diagram. Okay. Again, all the answers are there. And then we have some that you can try by yourself. Okay. So that's the last theorem. And this is basically the notes for today. I'm going to go over this in class and do some examples with you.